and welcome back to Here Be Dragons. I am your host, as always, Stephen Stark. Joining me this week, the regular co-host, John from John Webster Film. And we are very happy to welcome back Val from Because Geek. Val, it's been a long time, maybe since the first Witcher 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's been very long.
It's been a crazy long time, far too long. But yeah, you're back and you brought along somebody new.
Yes, see, this is my fiance, Dred.
How you doing?
And he's going to, well, he has a lot of Witcher knowledge to share, so I figured.
Right on.
Little rusty, but yeah, I did read all but the last book.
Okay.
Whoa.
Cecilia, you're moving around now, so that's good. Can you hear us? You're muted. I don't know if you can hear us. But hi. She'll be back. She always comes back. But yeah, as you said, we're here to talk about The Witcher, season 2 specifically, which I'll hold my thoughts for a minute. But let me we'll start with the guests. Val, Dred, what were your overall impressions of season 2?
Well, overall, there were some nitpicks for sure, but I think it was really good. I really liked the ending. I thought the first few episodes were a little bit weak in some places, but the end was very strong for me personally. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Brett?
Outside of a few nitpicks, yeah. Overall, I liked it. Some of the changes I was expecting them because not everything is going to translate well from the book to the show. So I was expecting it, but I didn't like quite a few of them. But overall, yeah, I really much enjoyed the show.
Well, that's good because not everybody shares that sentiment, especially people who have read the books and are big fans of the books.
Because huge fans.
With any adaptation, there's changes, and I've heard that there were quite a few. I have not read the books. But we'll throw it to John. John, what about you?
Yeah, I always say if you want the books, go read the books. Especially, I come from the history of Lord of the Rings and having those fights with people. And I always said, like, the books are still available on bookshelves in bookstores, and they're fantastic. So go and enjoy them. The adaptations are works of art onto themselves. As for what I thought of the season, I really liked it. I'm not quite sure if I prefer it overall to season 1, even though it was more cohesive this season. It felt like a singular story. But I think there were individual episodes of season 1 that, like, more individual episodes that I loved outright. I will say that I think the strongest episode of this season was probably episode 1. I loved it probably because it's somewhat self-contained. There's obviously stuff like the groundwork is laid for the rest of the season, but the story with Nivellen is very self-contained, and it felt like on the same level as like the Striga episode of season 1. But overall, I really enjoyed the season, and I liked where it ended up. I liked the big reveal at the end, which makes, it just turns a lot of stuff from season 1 on its head. And so, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Right on. And John, you haven't read any of the books or played any of the video games, right?
Now, I've read a little bit of the first book or the first collection of short stories. Okay. I didn't get to finish it yet, but that's okay because they're short stories. So I think I read like 3 of them, and so I'll get to the rest of them later and at some point read the books because I'm definitely interested enough in the world to say that they're on my to read list. It's just a question of when I get to them.
Yeah, well, I don't know how to read, so I haven't read the books. I don't read anything. Like, dyslexia rears its head and gets me. Cecilia, are you here?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Something weird happened with my equipment, and
Better late than never. welcome to the stream.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, Paul. Hi, John.
Hi.
So everybody here knows Cecilia. She's kind of a regular contributor on Here Be Dragons, but I'm really glad to have you back for this one. The first time I ever asked you to come on, you're like, "Yeah, I'm friends with Val," and I'm like, "Oh, I've got to get you both on at some point. That's gonna be so awesome."
Yeah. I have to confess that I feel a little bit weird talking in English to Val.
Yeah, I bet so.
Yeah,
You
we'll do
can
it.
speak Spanish if you want, but we'll the rest of us will be lost.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
We don't want
I think I may have told you this before, Cecilia, that I took 2 years of Spanish in high school, but unfortunately in the second year they gave us a replacement teacher who didn't actually speak Spanish, so that eliminated all chance of me becoming any good at speaking the language.
Oh, I'm so sorry for you.
Well, okay. Well, I'll ask you the question I've already asked Val and Dredd and John, which is, what's your overall impression of season 2?
I liked it very much. I especially liked the relationship developed between Geralt and Ciri. That was my favorite thing in the whole series. And well, I quite loved it. I actually loved also another thing that I actually loved was seeing Yennefer in a very vulnerable position. That was one of the things that I enjoyed the most. Not necessarily because I love watching a woman being vulnerable on screen, but it's because she was pretty damn arrogant in the first season. So seeing her like grounded like this, it was pretty amazing. And
especially after that display of power at Sodden Hill.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that's as powerful as you can imagine someone like her getting. So it's actually nice to then flip it, and she has to figure out what her path is with none of those powers.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, in general terms, that was my favorite thing to watch. And well, I don't know what have you guys already discussed, but
Nothing. Overall impressions. That's it.
Okay. Then we are pretty much in the same page already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Steven, did you have a like a format that you want to go through? Or
No,
free-for-all?
I told you, controlled chaos.
Okay.
My job is to make sure we don't steer the ship into an iceberg.
Okay.
And that is it.
Okay.
Okay.
I will say, I have not read the books. I have not played any of the games, but I really, really enjoyed this season quite a lot. Jaskier was a highlight for me this season. I mean, I loved him first season, don't get me wrong, but this season it was so much fun. And then Ciri surprised me this season. She's probably the character I cared about the least in season 1 and maybe the most in season 2.
Yeah.
So I was really happy to see that sort of change in her from the bratty rich girl to the Witcher in training.
I have to say, following up on, you mentioned Jaskier, he genuinely gave me some of my absolute favorite moments of the season. Just when you first hear him singing and the look on Yennefer's face, given their relationship throughout season 1, it just, that was heartwarming. The fact that she was just happy to run into somebody that she knows. And then also the jail cell when, Jaskier's like, fuck it, and just goes in for the hug. And then, later on when Geralt says, I'm sorry, and Jaskier's like, oh, you're always going on and on and on and up.
Yeah, those were great. Yeah.
And the song itself was pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And well, I always have this criticism with Jaskier songs that they do sound a lot not like in the time of that they are portraying. They sound pretty modern.
Yeah. He's definitely a modern pop icon.
Yes. But I do believe that this is on purpose. I don't think this is just a happy mistake, but it's actually something that I believe that it's like meant to be that way. But it does feel a little odd. But in this season, this particular song, even though it's not as catchy as the first one, is the lyrics are pretty heartbreaking. I mean, it's just it's a heartbreak song. Actually, it's like a song of a breakup with like a huge big relationship, but it's Geralt.
I do. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was also enjoying it as well because in the land of the Anshe, the biggest bromance in history was between Jaskier or Dandelion and Geralt. So yeah, I really like that song as well.
Yeah, at first I was like, oh, it's not as catchy as his big number from season 1, but then when I went back to I listened to the song on YouTube because it was posted up on there, and then when I went back for the second viewing over the past couple days, and last night I got to that episode, and when he comes on screen singing the song, I was like, okay, I love it now. It's it takes getting over holding up to the standard of toss a coin to your witcher.
Yeah, no, I agree. I felt the same way. Yeah. It grew on me.
Yeah.
And plus, I will say, as far as the music, also important of note was that they had a different composer this season, but he actually did a really great job at sticking both to the style of season 1 story and also the themes. Like, they didn't all, I'm sure there were some new themes introduced, but he didn't just toss away all the thematic material from season 1. You can definitely hear a lot of that familiar music.
Yeah, it was definitely like an amalgamation of both old and new.
Yeah, and there was also a song in the background that sounded very video game like. Yeah. All of a sudden I felt like I was playing the game, and then I realized it's still the show. Yeah. It was a good mix. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a 1 hour long cinematic.
Yeah.
Where
this one didn't feel as questy as the first one. This season.
Yeah.
It did feel a little like video game like, and the part of city's training, but not exactly like the questy type of season 1 that we got.
Yeah, I agree. It's a little less monster of the week this season. A little bit less. I mean, you still had the Bruxa and the.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I think episode 1 is probably.
Leshy?
Yeah, episode 1 was probably the most season 1-ish episode of the season, which might explain why I'm partial to it, because because with the show being my only exposure to the story, I was anxious to recapture those season 1 vibes, and the rest of the season feels a bit different, but still very good.
Yeah. I thought I thought there were a lot of monsters. I mean, I will say it did feel a little bit like Monster of the Week for me, surprisingly. But yeah, at least the monsters were so much better in this one.
So much
better looking, at least, you mean?
Yeah, and the looks and the design of the creature, like especially since they had like new stuff that wasn't. Well, I mean, I don't know. They were in the books, right? They weren't in the video games. Like it's like mutations from like another.
Oh yeah.
Sphere. Yeah. So yeah, good stuff.
I was going to mention something, but I just forgot. It's just.
It'll come to you. We've got
it will come to me. It will come to me because it had to do something with the looks. Well, go on. Just go on. I will come back.
Well, Joe S has a really great question, and I think it actually feeds into the conversation we were having about Jaskier's music. He's asking you, John, because you are the scores guy, but we'll ask the whole panel. Do you find that movie scores should track the musical styles of the analogous historical age?
Well,
Yes.
definitely if it's historical.
Mhm.
This is fantasy, so I give it a little leeway. And plus, right from the get-go in season 1, the score itself was giving off a different vibe. It was like when Geralt is like fighting the gang in the very first episode of the series. There's kind of I don't remember exactly, but I remember it giving off some kind of a almost rock vibe to, you know, his fighting. And that certainly took like some, you know, a little getting used to for me. But again, since it's a fantasy world, not a strict like historical a story, and also like because they established it early, like by the time, you know, in episode 2 when Jaskier is singing and stuff, I had kind of gotten accustomed to a sort of modern style for some of the music, and by this point in the story, I'm just kind of used to the overall vibe they're going for. So yeah, I was fine with it.
In my case, I did have a little trouble with some of the things, especially the song Jaskier song in the first season, because well, even if it's a fantasy world, if it is like medieval fantasy type of world, you do expect those medieval sounds or that the medieval style of composing, right? And I get that sometimes you are free to take some liberties and mix a little bit of electronic music there, electronic sounds in there, but in a subtle way, so that it doesn't just completely take you away from the environment that you're expecting to listen in the music. But I do I did like it in general, except for that one song. I mean, it was catchy and many people liked it, but in terms of not in terms of instrumentation, in terms of the composing itself, the song itself, the structure, how it's structured, how it's you know, the lyrics and everything, how it all works, it felt a little too modern for me in that time.
But you can't say that for sure. The conjunction of the spheres smashed all the music from all these realities together too.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, see, I'd have more of an issue with instrumentation rather than style, because like I said, it's a fantasy world, and even if it's within medieval trappings, it's still not like our medieval time. It's
yeah, absolutely.
So like as far as musical style, I give, like I said, I give them a lot of leeway on that, and I don't know, I enjoyed it. To each their own.
Yeah, I thought it was a good in between. Yeah, it did feel a little bit modern, but at the same time, it still had a tiny bit of I guess maybe because of the instrument. Yeah, it felt medieval. So it was just a good middle for me personally.
It feels like modern composing with medieval instruments.
Yeah.
And some electronic sounds in the background. That actually sounds pretty great. But in terms of the songs itself, so important songs in the I mean in the story, I do understand why they go that way, with a little more liberty and a little more modern touch, because they are appealing to modern audiences. I mean, they need to make it catchy. They need to make it likable.
Yeah.
It's got that feel of like bardcore music to some degree. Like, yes, they're using lute and flute and, you know, a hand drum, but I agree, the composing does feel more modern.
And then another like important thing for me, I may be singing I was just about to say singing a different tune. Please forgive me for that. No, I'd probably be you know, have a different point of view if I had read the books first, maybe. But because I just came to the show for its own sake, and this was the sort of style, you know, in the music and the sounds that they were going for right off the bat, I think it was easy for me to Except if they had gone with this style of music for Lord of the Rings, for example, I would have been like, no.
Yeah.
What, John? You don't want pop electronica in your Lord of the Rings?
No, God, no.
Well, let's hope we don't see that in the Lord of the Rings series from Amazon. Yeah, I do expect something close to the movies.
Yeah, if they went that route for the series, turn it off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially with all this recent talk of bringing on Howard Shore to write like new themes.
Howard Shore. I heard it was going to be Trent Reznor.
Shut up, Steve.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's some good music conversation, but if I may, I would like to steer in a slightly different direction for a moment. This season, Ciri was the standout for me. I read somewhere that Freya Allen, her first ever acting job was season 1 of The Witcher. And I feel like it shows a little bit in her performance in season 1. She does okay, but she's a little wooden, maybe, and that might just be her trying to affect an aloof sort of an air of being above it all. She's the spoiled rich girl. But god dang, I loved everything to do with Ciri this season. She made me feel like she belonged in the story. And I just appreciate that her character got to evolve and not just be this lost, clueless teenager. Mm-hmm. She had something to really do, and maybe that's the difference, is that she had an arc where she had some agency this season.
Mm-hmm. And on that note, another one of my highlights is Vesemir. Yes, and the relationship that he too develops with Ciri is like it's pretty much like a granddaughter, grandfather type of relationship, and I think it's adorable. And I mean, I like that actor. I like the way he acts. I've seen it before in Killing Eve. He's on Killing Eve, and his character is pretty different, but I loved it. I enjoyed it that much a lot, and I enjoyed that he encourages Ciri to reach her goal and to become a Witcher, and much against the what Geralt wants for her, and I enjoyed that pretty much.
Yeah. Well, we can't say that we liked Vesemir very much.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. It didn't feel like Vesemir for me. I haven't read all of the books, so I only have the video games to go by. But I feel like he was, with Ciri. Yeah, I did really like that relationship between the two. And I thought it was like so exciting that he was about to turn her into a Witcher for a second there. Yeah. It makes sense that he didn't, because I would have been way off from everything from the story. But he just didn't feel like the wise old man that he should be. And like he just seemed like when he was fighting, he didn't feel like he had enough skill. Like, Vesemir is supposed to be this badass, and he was just getting beaten so easy. I didn't like that part. So, but
I will say that for me, like, I actually, if I take just the character and the actor on their own terms, I think he gave a great performance. He did a great job. I liked the stuff with him and Ciri, the stuff with him and Geralt. However, something that really ruined me was early fan speculation that Mark Hamill might play the role.
Oh yeah.
And so nothing's ever gonna live up to because Vesemir as a character was sort of built up for so long in my head because people kept talking Vesemir is coming for season 2 and you know, and you hear him, I think you kind of hear him mentioned at the very end of season 1. And so like in my head, the character was sort of built up, and then the Mark Hamill thing was going on, and I got really excited by that. So I feel like there was a little bit of a letdown with the character there that like no actor could sort of live up to, you know, oh my God, are we going to get Luke Skywalker playing this character? But that's unfair. If I take it on its own terms, I think he did a great job, just maybe not living up to the mythic status that had been kind of built up for me.
Yeah. I don't know that I heard that Mark Hamill was like bandied around for Vesemir, but now that I have, I'm extremely disappointed.
I don't even know if it was official. I think it was just the fans that were
right.
That were doing it.
I heard the rumor, but by the time I watched and by the time I watched the series, I mean the season, the new season, I didn't remember that detail. So when I saw that it was this actor that actually plays, I don't remember the name of the character in Killing Eve. I was excited because I know he's a great actor. I know what he can give, and to compare him with Mark Hamill, it feels a little bit unfair to me.
Oh, it totally
is because well, we already know and love how the legend that Mark Hamill is, but
especially since I don't know that it was ever like officially being like discussed behind the scenes, or if it was just wishful thinking on the part of some fans. But yeah, just as soon as that name was mentioned, like I didn't even know who the character was. I'm just like, I want Mark Hamill in The Witcher. But that's completely unfair to the actor. And like I said, I feel like he did a great job. You know, it's not fair to anybody to, you know, put up but you're not Mark Hamill. But yeah, but no, I thought he was really good. It took some. And it wasn't just the Mark Hamill thing. It was, like I said, the fact that all I heard for like 2 years or however long it was between seasons, like I just heard Vesemir. So he kind of got really built up in my mind, and that can be a dangerous thing because you're going for like it's all about expectations versus the actual real character, and so yeah. But I don't have any complaints about his performance or the character.
Yeah, for me, it was how he was initially presented to us, the viewer, is what kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, and it kind of carried forward going through the entire season because I was already a fan of him in the books and in the game. The game portrayed Vesemir far closer to me. The actor, yeah, I agree with you. He did great. He did great with what he was given in the direction he was given, but yeah, it was the actual presentation and how the character was written that kind of left a sour note in my mouth.
Plus, he even felt to me a little different from the Vesemir that we got in the anime as well.
Yeah,
and that was probably, if I did have a complaint, that would be it. It just didn't feel quite like it was the same guy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, especially since the anime is supposed to be considered canon, I think, for the Netflix show.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, like side note, I freaking loved the hell out of that.
Oh yeah,
it was great.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, speaking of characters, Esco, we should talk about Esco as well.
Boy. Oh, they did him dirty.
Yeah.
Well, can I say, like, having not known anything from any of the books or anything, they have like scenes that show him and Daryl like flashbacks in the episode after he dies, and it's like, why didn't you show me that stuff before? So I care about this guy, because before I was like, I don't care, the guy's a dick, kill him all.
Yeah, exactly. That was the problem. It's for fans of the books and the games. They're not gonna like what they did to Eskel because they put him there just to die off, and his personality was also completely different from what it's supposed to be. And it's not gonna be good enough for people who don't read the books or play the games because there was no emotional attachment, right?
Yes,
So,
exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, choosing Eskel to be the one to die kind of fell flat.
Right, yet they had all these other Witchers who were just pretty much red shirt Witchers, right?
They had a whole platoon of red shirt Witchers to kill off because none of them had a name except Cohen.
Yeah.
Well, but that wouldn't have carried any emotional resonance either. The thing was they needed to build up an attachment to this character before they have Geralt kill him, and they didn't do that.
Yes.
Giving us that after the fact doesn't really work. You need to you need to make us like the character beforehand, and from the second he shows up, you're like, I don't like this guy.
Yes, and you get to
problem.
understand the conflict between Vesemir and Geralt in a better way if they had done it before.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
I
understand their approach of wanting to establish, an emotional. The thing with the Leshies happening, and they wanted to have stakes, but I also agree they really should have either taken their time to establish Eskel more, made him feel more likable, given us some of those flashbacks that we didn't get. Or they could have used somebody who wasn't Eskel so that it didn't sort of alienate some of the people who are fans of the books or the video games.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and also because it didn't seem like it was meant to be an emotional scene. It seemed like it was meant to be someone has to be infected by this Leshy for other characters to learn about this thing happening, right? So it wasn't supposed to be about the death of the character,
Yeah, it was a show don't sell exposition.
Yeah. So that's why I think you would have been okay with another Witcher, and then just leave Eskel later. You can kill Eskel later if you want.
Yeah,
but leave him there. For
I mean,
a little bit
if you gotta kill my boy, at least help him go out.
Make it mean something more. I got it.
Yeah.
No, like the second he like kneeled down to Siri and was like, "Who the hell are you?" I was like, "All right, you need to die, dude."
Yeah. Well, and then Lambert was also a little bit different, but I wasn't too upset with that. Like he still seemed like a bit of a dick,
Yeah, no, I actually really like what they did with Lambert, because at first you're like, God, and there's no point where you don't say that he's a bit of an asshole. Like he continues to be, but they establish this kind of almost competitive thing between him and Ciri to where like they don't have like the warmest relationship, but like after after Ciri repeatedly goes through the gauntlet and stuff, like he's actually trying to help her out at that point, so it's more kind of tough love from him, and so I like that.
It's got a big brother feel to it almost. Maybe not early on, but by the end, he's definitely like taking the piss out of his little sister, is what that feels like.
Yeah, that was good.
I love the fact that they were very skeptic at first about her.
Oh yeah.
And when she started the training, they started laughing at her, and they were very doubtful about her skills, just because first it was a girl, and secondly because it was a princess, and the fact that there was one scene where they were cheering at her.
Running the gauntlet.
Very much at the end. Yeah, it felt pretty cool, and also when Mary something. What was the name of the mage that went there?
Triss.
Yes. Triss.
Triss. Yes, Triss. not very good with names. And when Tris points out that they should treat her like a woman because I mean she has womanly needs, and they don't even think about that. It was very good to see also.
Yeah, that was very book like. That was
straight from the book.
Yeah, Tris always defending Ciri. Yeah. And also,
I love Ciri's line where she's like, my grandmother fought and wore dresses. It is possible, and that felt like a very, a contemporary line that works,
Yeah.
Within the world.
You can do both.
Yeah.
I always think of like Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm a warrior, but I'm also a girl.
Right.
It is possible to do both. What else do I want to say about Ciri? She gave as good as she got eventually, too. Like, she was able to hang in there with all these big buff guys, take their shit talk and take their crap off of them, get knocked down over and over and over again, and get back up again. And that's a quality we can admire in any character. That ability to keep getting up. It's something that's in a lot of storytelling. That's how you build up your hero, is that you knock them down so you can watch them get back up again. God, please nobody start singing Chumbawamba right now. But
wait, what?
That song, I get knocked down, but I get up again. Yeah, but I don't know. I love Ciri this season. The outfit that she wore throughout most of the season, that sort of like raggedy blue shirt with the leather corset over it and the rough spun pants, it was just feminine enough so that she didn't look just like another one of the boys, because it was form fitting and it showed her shape a little bit, but it was also definitely not a princess dress. I appreciated that a lot, that they gave her a look like that.
Speaking of like the costumes, it's actually pretty funny. I could tell that they shot that scene at Sodden last season because everybody was like, Ciri was in her season 1 attire, and it's the only scene in that first episode where she's got the same like costume and makeup from season 1. So they very obviously shot it when they were doing the Sodden stuff the last season, because the very next scene she's in a completely different costume design.
Yeah,
the actress herself changed a lot during this time. She actually looks like a little girl in the first season, and now when I looked at the pictures of the premiere, I was like, what the hell happened here?
Yeah, she's a young woman now.
Yeah, but she actually is very close in age to Yennefer, and she looked pretty much just the same age as her in the not in the series, but in the premiere. In the premiere photos, and that shocked me a little bit. But then I saw the episodes, and I saw that she still looks like a teenager. She doesn't look like a girl anymore, but she does look like a teenager, and and it's I don't know, that jump in time, even though it didn't happen in the books, it does, like, it confuses a little bit. Confuses you a little bit.
I mean, it worked because like this is a hell of a trek from Sodden to Camorra, and like they and that continues to be my sort of one big complaint for this show, is that they're not doing a great job of explaining the geography of the continent. I still like I looked at a map last night of the continent just to like get a sense of where things were, because the show does not do a good job of explaining like where we are in relation to other places.
If I could do a bit of a plug here, the one, I've only made 2 Witcher videos and a live stream, but one of my Witcher videos is exactly for that reason. It's all geography. I explain all of the map where everything happened, where everyone went. So if anyone is interested,
in chronological order.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I tell you
Okay.
in chronological order as well. So
Well, it goes to show you how genius the opening titles for Game of Thrones were, because you always knew exactly where everything was.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I never realized. Yeah, it helped a lot.
Yeah, there's a very lack of appreciation of the size of the continent itself. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is one thing that Game of Thrones really got well.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm literally looking for that video on your page right now.
Oh, yeah, it should be the last one that I uploaded if you go to uploads or video.
Timeline and map explained. There it is.
Because the first time I watched this season, and what's the new country that we're seeing characters from this season? The place that with Dijkstra.
Redania.
Redania. First time watching the season, I was like, yeah, I've got no clue where that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
do you need to? Really?
Yes. I think you do, because it adds sort of weight to the context of like political situations, and like to know physically where things are located. I think it is very important.
And there is a lot of politics that go on in the books, which I hope they bring into the show, because we all miss the whole political intrigue.
Well, the whole war is tied to the maps, like the fact that Nilfgaard is coming from the south and moving north, and that when they pass the Yaruga River, that is a big moment.
Yeah, that's huge.
They're finally reaching into the northern kingdoms now. So yeah.
Well, in terms of the general audience, I don't think it's necessary. But when you have an audience that is a little more willing to compromise a little bit more with the story, it is something huge to know where things are and why are they fighting what are they fighting for. For example, in Game of Thrones, it's pretty evident why the people in the north is very different from the people in the south and southern kingdoms. And in Lord of the Rings, for example, the fact that you have the map and you know where things are, it adds a lot of conflict to the part of the journey. You understand why it's so hard to get to Mordor.
And there's even a scene in Two Towers that is basically just Faramir pulling out a map and saying, "We're here. This other place is here." Like just so people have an idea of where they are in relation to everything else going on in the story.
It adds more weight to the world.
Yeah.
Yes. But for like I said, for larger audiences that are just a casual viewer that doesn't really compromise, it's not necessarily really. But
but we still
we're
want
nerds.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, speaking of Redania, I just want to say how utterly happy I am that Graham McTavish is both in this show, and he also had he did a voice performance in the anime as well.
Didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, he was Vesemir's mentor in the anime, and so now he's got another role in this. Like, the more Graham McTavish, the better. That man should be in everything.
It's not how I pictured Dijkstra, physically, but oh man, he nailed that whole vibe that he's playing chess on a whole different level than you are. And he really nailed that vibe.
Yeah, we're all playing checkers, and he's playing chess.
Absolutely.
But he also seems like such a, like he's got some screws loose, and and it's like, so he's smart and he's sort of ahead of a lot of people, but also like doesn't seem like the most stable individual. So he's very dangerous in that way too.
He's a fantasy Obadiah Stane.
God, of course, Steven. Like, you can't freaking avoid.
He's got the white beard, the bald head. Like, that's what I saw. I saw Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane in Iron
I'm bringing those Dark Crystal Funko Pops with me next week.
Yeah. So, but I also liked that character a great deal, Dijkstra. He was clearly like, look, in a story, you need somebody to root for. You also need somebody to root against. And there's actually no shortage of people who to root against in this show. Not just Dijkstra, but also Cahir is just like, I'm mad at the show because they made me go like, ooh, Nilfgaard. Ooh, maybe Nilfgaard's not so bad. And then you get to the end and you're like, no, screw you, Nilfgaard. I hate you. I hate your guy.
Well, actually, I'm finding Nilfgaard like so much more interesting by the end because of the reveal of who Emir is.
Yeah.
And like that adds like the whole time for this whole show, you're like, you know, why is Nilfgaard after Ciri? And then you're like, oh, I totally see why now. Yeah. It adds such a personal stake that you actually care about because, you know, because we grow to like Dooney from, you know, that from episode 4, I think it is in season 1. And so we emotionally feel for him and for Ciri, who thinks that she's lost both of her parents, and turns out her father's actually still alive. And, you know, he's trying to get her back. And you realize that, you know, Calanthe, you know, being exactly who she is, you know, it kept her away from him, and like it just adds like so much emotion to this story, where last season it was, oh, Nilfgaard bad, and now there's just so much more to it. Yeah,
I was very much looking forward to that reveal.
Yeah,
it makes it so much better for sure.
It does. I mean, and during the first season, you don't really understand why they are fighting for what they're fighting for, and in this season you totally get it, and not only because of the whole part that city is the key to the other worlds, but also because of the father-daughter situation, right? That
and I heard about this, where apparently in the books it's revealed so much later, but Aaron's right, you can't hold on to that reveal in visual media.
It's the same way Barristan Selmy was introduced in the TV show versus the books.
Yes.
You look at him, you're like, that's Barry.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, true.
I mean, you could fool the characters in the story, but you can't fool us, the watcher, the way that George could fool us as the reader.
Yeah, true. And I guess we need to mention, I think a lot of people probably noticed, but for those who didn't, in Ciri's dream, he was the only one who wasn't fading away. Mm-hmm. And that was a hint. Yeah, that was a hint.
He's the only one that did not get snapped by Thanos.
Yeah.
I didn't. God damn it, Steven. No, I actually didn't notice that. So that's like, yeah.
I thought that was.
Well, it's good to notice things that no one else notices.
All right, well, this one I did hear from someone else.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I tried.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, but I don't. Well,
I will tell Cecilia, Val, Josh, if you can sneak in a good MCU reference, John loves it every time.
Okay. Nice.
You realize that we're going to be sharing the same physical space in a
week,
and I can actually strangle you.
I'm not the person for that job, you know. I'm not a big fan of the MCU either. So, but I did know a couple of things because my stepson is a really big fan, and so it's pretty much all he talks about. So yeah, you inevitably learn a thing or two. But no, I'm not the person for that job, Steven. I'm sorry to disappoint.
We can move on, you know.
I mean, if that's how you feel about it, John, you got to do what you got to do.
Oh my god.
Okay, we need to talk about Jennifer. Please, let's talk about Jennifer.
Okay.
And from my understanding, a lot of there's certainly a lot of fans who didn't like her story this season, whereas
I understand why.
I didn't
But
necessarily. I didn't necessarily enjoy it as much as her stuff from last season, but I think it was kind of important because it allowed her to discover things about herself and a path forward without that thing that she thought she was always going to have to, to quote unquote make her important. But she's so much more than that, and I think that's what this season allowed her to go on that kind of journey and to recognize through Siri that she had things to pass on, even if she wasn't able to do that. That said, very happy she got her magic back at the end because we all love to see Yennefer, do really cool shit.
Yeah.
I thought it was great to, like you said, Ceci, to bring her down to a a lower level because she's just too cocky, basically. But I thought that was good.
And just like what Jess said just now about Blood of Elves was going to have to change a lot anyways for it to translate well to a cinematic adaptation. So some things had to change. I kind of understand better now why the ending to season 1 at Sodden Hill, why they had Yennefer wipe out like a vast majority of the Nilfgaardian force instead of Vilgefortz. It was so they could set this up. So I understand better now why.
Yeah, apparently Vilgefortz was a big change. But
see, and I didn't know. I am so happy they made that change because I love that Yennefer gets to do that at the end of season 1.
Yeah, as for example, I'm also a fan of the show. Only, I've only played a little bit of the first game of The Witcher, but not. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, but it's a little confusing to play it like now. But it's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, for audiences that don't know the books and haven't played the video games, which is the larger part. I personally liked the fact that she was the one that did that in the end of the season of the first season, and to see her in a very vulnerable position in this season was very refreshing because not just because it's like the cocky character, right, but because she actually had something to learn about herself. That desire for power that it was so overwhelming in her, that I believe that the fact that she wanted so badly to be a mother, but not because she actually wanted to be a mother, but because she wanted to have the power to be a mother. When you strip all of that away from her, what she realizes about herself is that she doesn't need that. She doesn't need to be overly powerful to be a powerful, amazing sorcerer. And she now has this connection with Ciri that may fill some of the voids that she feels that she has, but she doesn't really have. I don't know if I explain myself, but I really like the how she formed that connection with Ciri, and how she basically fell in love with her as someone close to her, and they became this tiny little family.
Oh my god, I love that so much.
It's what Geralt says early on about power and purpose, and throughout the season, Yennefer finds her purpose, and that comes along with her power. So
I very much liked how it wasn't until she consciously decided to let go of both that she attained both.
Yeah.
So I liked it.
That was really good. Yeah. The whole family thing, like I really like that because it's like Geralt and Yennefer are the parents that Ciri never had, or that Ciri never had, and Ciri is the daughter that they could never have. So they're just so perfect for each other. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, so many of us, the communities that we built around ourselves in our sort of fandom space, this idea of found family is something that's near and dear to a lot of us, myself included. So it's just very relatable story. I have really, I think it's a highlight of the season is that through line of Geralt and Ciri sort of forging that bond, and then watching Yennefer reach her low point, and then come out of that low point, having been extremely tempted by the Deathless Mother, or Baba Yaga, or whatever she's actually called. She's basically Baba Yaga. But then come into that family unit of Geralt and Ciri, where she can be the surrogate mother. It's really kind of a beautiful thing. I love stories about found family. It's good. It's good shit, man. It's good shit.
Yeah.
We've been going for about an hour. We should go ahead and do the mid-roll real quick. All right. This is the part of the video where I remember that it's YouTube, and I say, please hit the like button and please subscribe if you are not already subscribed. Oh, hey, Dan. How you doing, buddy? I'm going to give a shout out to our patrons. Our Patreon High Council consists of our alpha patron, this dude right here, Ridiculous Ed Tollett. John, don't read it. Don't read it. Sean, we love you, buddy. You're probably getting off work right about now. Drive safe on the way home. Our Patreon High Council also consists of Lord John Bronsteen, the Wise, Sixto Sounds, a.k.a. JP the Axe Grinder, and the lovely Lady Leaf Underhill. And they are supported by the lords and ladies of the realm, including Ryan Stavka, the Russian Quartermaster, Reflective Rambling, and Arch-Maester Emma. Thank you, patrons. We love you very much. If you would like to become a patron, link is down in the description. Okay, let's talk about what everybody's got coming up. We'll start with Cecilia. Ceci, what's coming up over there on Geeksterlia?
Oh, well, we are back this Friday to talk about Cobra Kai. I'm very excited because I just finished the season yesterday.
I've seen half of it.
And it's really good. It's full of twists and turns. And I loved it. I loved it very much. I didn't love some of the characters that much this season, but we'll get to that on Friday. And the next Friday, the lady right next to me is going to be on my channel to talk also about The Witcher, but in Spanish. and we got the Expanse going on. I know about someone who actually likes this series a lot, and maybe that person would love to join me. I don't know.
I feel like I've heard of that show somewhere, but I can't put my finger on it.
I'm just gonna.
Oh wow!
Wow, that's really nice. Who got you that, Steven?
Some rando.
And in a near future, we will also have Dan from the Voice of Geekdom on my channel to talk about, of course, what else are we going to talk about but the Lord of the Rings?
Right. Noted Tolkien nerd.
Knife in my heart.
John, when it comes to Tolkien, you can't beat Dan. Come on. Val, have you watched The Expanse?
I can beat him
Val,
when it comes to the movies.
Oh my god.
I am in love with The Expanse. I've been watching since season 1. I was heartbroken when it got canceled. I celebrated when Amazon picked it up. It is by far, outside of Firefly, my favorite sci-fi show that I've ever watched. And I have somehow convinced
I
Val.
see you're a man of culture.
Okay, so here's the thing. I was told about the expansion for years. Like, every single person, no, not every single person, but there were so many people who were like, the expanse, the expanse, the expanse, the expanse. I got so excited about this new show, and I had it saved forever, and I just never really got to watch it because I had so much other things going on. But, he loves the expanse, so he really wanted to start watching the new season. And I didn't want to start from that season. If I'm going to watch The Expanse, I might as well start from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started watching it. And I'm so sorry to all the fans out there. I absolutely hate it.
Oh, wow.
I cannot.
Well,
no, I can't do it. I don't understand why people love it so much.
Wow. Okay. How do you kick people off the stream again? But you know what? Hey, Mr. Dread.
Yes.
Not this weekend, not next weekend, but the next weekend, we will be discussing The Expanse. I'm going to twist your arm and get you to come on.
We are going to be in the process of moving.
Oh, okay.
But if we can fit it in, because I have to fly back to the States. I have to fly back to the States to move out of my old place. And yeah.
I got you.
Well, I am curious though about like how far into that first season did you get? Did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm just, I watched so many episodes hoping for it to get better for me.
Okay.
Then
there's no saving.
There's no hope for you, is
Yeah.
what you're saying.
No,
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
we just started season 3.
This isn't about The Expanse. Oh, let's get through this.
But I do want to.
right,
I do want to say, like, going about my excitement about this because this had completely skipped. Like, I wasn't even thinking about this until Stephen, you mentioned it. Was the fact that during HereBeCon, the series finale of The Expanse will be airing. So those of us going are going to get to actually watch it in the same place all together, which is so wild and so awesome.
So Val, what do you got coming up? What have you been up to over there on Because Geek and Valkyrie channel on Twitch?
Well, yes, mostly Twitch right now. I have basically stopped making videos for now because I started studying a new career, so that's taking up most of my time. So I can only do 2 things, so it would be career and Twitch, right? Those are the 2 things I picked. So yes, if you want to find me, I am on Twitch 3 days a week. You can find my schedule on there. Twitch.tv/VALKARII. And
link is in the description, by the way, to your Twitch.
Yeah, so I mean, you can go and watch Because Geek videos. Some of them are still relevant today, especially the Witcher one about the map and geography. I may not have many more videos coming. But yes, and then I will have the podcast with Ceci coming up as well, the Witcher podcast.
And her latest video that explains the map, the geography, the timeline. The whole season 1 recap was really well done.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're biased. I don't trust you.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good. I love
good. I watched
videos.
it, of course. It is good. John, what's coming up over there on John Webster Film?
Well, I am blissfully on hiatus. So I don't have to worry about doing a damn thing. But next month I'll be back, and I think the first stream that I'll probably be doing will be with Aaron and AK. Which, by the way, AK never showed up.
She's ill, and she's also having technical issues. She's been messaging me on the back end. She's just having difficulty.
But God, now it sounds like I wasn't even. Like, this is the first time that it's occurring to me. Like, yeah, that's how much I missed you, AJ. I love you. But no, Aaron, AK, and I will be talking about the film Stardust. So that'll be probably the first thing up in February. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I am just relaxing and having a good time.
Okay. On here.
Oh, I forgot to mention something.
Go ahead.
Just a little. I was I was remembering the first video Val and I did together about The Witcher, and I remember that we got a meme. My fans made a meme about us laughing. It was Val and I laughing like Beavis and Butthead. Talking about the uh
The pecs.
girls,
Yeah,
girls
girls'
pecs.
pecs. Yeah, right.
And
I wanna
Henry
see
Cavill
that.
looked like
Yeah, we should find
We should
it.
definitely find that.
Yeah.
Look, I was in Val was streaming earlier, and I popped in for a moment, and I said, look, I'm a straight man, but I would spoon Henry Cavill all night long. So coming up on Here Be Dragons.
Mhm.
This next week, I'll get to it. 2 weeks from now, there will be nothing. We're taking a very rare weekend off because starting next Saturday, it's Here Be Con. John, my other regular co-host Nessie, will both be flying in, and several people from the chat will be there. We're going to have about a dozen people all coming here to Dallas to hang out. We've got a big Airbnb for the whole week. So next week on Here Be Con is a special I Know That Nerd. I know these nerds. So we're just going to sit on the couch, turn on a camera, and have a chat for 2 hours.
That's going to be such a. It's going to be a mess because I was thinking about how we're going to do this with one camera set up and we're all just crowding in.
It's going to be terrible, but like it's all there is for it. So yeah, next week we're going to have about a dozen people on the couch, all sharing a space together. It's going to be awesome. The week after that, everybody's going home that Sunday. So, and I will be coming off vacation week, so nothing. Week after that, probably The Expanse. But yeah,
we got to cover Book of Boba Fett at some point too.
I have to watch Book of Boba Fett at some point.
It's good. You should watch it. I recommend it.
I've got a shirt from Disney that I bought for it. So we're streaming about it. Whether we like it or not.
Oh, I think that is it for the mid-roll, though. Although you brought up Book of Boba Fett, which of course brings up the Mandalorian. I'm not wearing them right now, but I was earlier today. But for those of you who haven't seen my hoodie pajamas.
Oh yes.
That is fantastic.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's even got the helmet on the hood.
Oh, I miss my Darth Vader onesie.
Oh, I didn't know you had one.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, okay. I think that's it for mid-roll. We should get back to The Witcher. And since we were talking about Henry Cavill, let's start there. You know, The Witcher himself. And can I just say, like, how much I love the fact that he is a gigantic nerd.
Yes.
Like, I heard he almost missed his audition for Superman because he was playing World of Warcraft. And there was a really awesome interview that Felicia Day did with a lot of the Witcher cast, and she got him talking about painting Warhammer miniatures, and I'm just like, thank God that one of the hottest men on the planet is making the rest of us nerds look good by extension.
Yeah.
Well, there are some men who disagree with you. I mean, because they feel intimidated that someone as handsome as him. I mean,
one of the jocks has infiltrated the world of geekdom, and they don't like it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what some people think. Some others feel like of course, like us, like Steven, but I've heard that opinion somewhere.
This is the first time I've ever been upset at Graham Norton, because there was a clip going around where Henry Cavill was appearing on his talk show, and Graham sort of made fun of him for the things that he likes, and I was like, bad form, Graham, bad form. People are allowed to be into whatever they like. Doesn't matter if they happen to be someone who looks like Henry Cavill does.
Look, I mean,
He managed it gracefully. I have to say that.
Joe Manganiello, extremely good-looking man, gigantic
Another
D&D
huge
nerd.
nerd. Yes,
Mhm.
huge nerd. I loved him playing. What was it? Archon the Cruel in Critical Role. He's a great role player.
Mhm.
The Hand of Vecna moment from that.
Yes,
Is just,
yes.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Witcher. I'm sorry, Witcher.
Right.
But I do love that Henry Cavill is out there making us nerds look good.
Yeah.
And I also really appreciate that he has 500% more dialogue this season. No, he does really well, but I'm really glad that we got inside his head a little bit more.
I just love the fact that he's the one who was sort of, doing more substantive to talking, and then the first thing we get from Yennefer in the season is fuck.
Yeah. If one of your main characters is going to be on screen 70% of the time, they need to have more dialogue than just animalistic grunts and the occasional swear word.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I didn't catch that her first word was fuck. That was good. I didn't catch that.
Thank you, Weezy. Love ya. Weezy Squeezebox, official timekeeper of Here Be Dragons.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I love Geralt this season. Yeah.
Because
Geralt in general, yes.
He's plunged into the mentor role this season, so he has to talk. He really doesn't have a choice.
Yeah. And I love the way that City gets him out of his comfort zone in a lot of times, and especially when it comes to following his orders. He is not used to people just refusing to do what he says it should be done. And then it comes this little spoiled little rich girl that doesn't give a shit. and it's adorable how they interact with each other. It's I love it, and I get you can see the love of Henry Cavill to this story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he really does care about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen people. I'm fully aware that there is a subsect of people who hated this season. People who are going to be purists when it comes to adaptation. I'm like, look, it's a different medium. You've got to change things.
Yeah.
The pacing in the book is different than a pacing in a TV show. It's a visual medium. Like,
I mean, I remember going through the headache of being in the Lord of the Rings fandom when Two Towers came out. And there were a lot of people who were pissed off about changes made to the book and to that film. To each their own, but I honestly found that completely insufferable. And but yeah, like I said before, like, I get it. You're very that attached to something, and if you're the kind of person who wants complete adherence, but still, like, the book is there. Go have the time of your life reading it, and let people who did enjoy the adaptation enjoy it.
Yeah, but like what we mentioned before is that this book in particular would not have translated well to TV.
Yeah.
So they had to make changes. So,
Yes.
But yeah.
I am glad that It may have had to be modified, but I am glad that the whole Riance is still there. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I am glad that he's still there. I appreciate the changes. Some changes had to be made, but I was really expecting more from Vilgefortz. So
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I wrote when I got about halfway through the season. This is a slight tangent. I wrote a review of what I'd seen so far and put it on. We have a Slack group for our community, and since I wrote that, if I write the word "fuck," my autocomplete knows that maybe I want to say Stregobor next. Because that guy is just the worst.
I have such a it's such a complex mix of things, because I hear him talk and I hear Thrawn, and I have so much respect for Thrawn, but the character of Stregobor is so detestable, and I want to just rip his throat out. I dearly hope that he has a horribly gruesome death headed his way. I really do.
I hope he's got two.
Yeah.
And the way he's able to talk himself out of any repercussions for what he does to Yennefer halfway through the season. It's no, don't let him use his words to get around that. Hang the son of a bitch or something.
Well, and he's there in the very first episode of the whole series, and he is the reason that Renfrey is on the rampage to begin with. And I fell in love with that character just like that. It broke my heart that they had to kill her off. Or, they didn't kill her off, but she dies in the very first episode. Mm-hmm. Just, Stregobor will always be there will be other bad guys, but Stregobor is always going to be my first hate.
Oh, yeah.
What else should we talk about?
The elves.
I do want to make sure we spend some time on the elves, because actually, even though I will agree that Ciri was kind of the MVP of the season, but if I had to say of new characters, Francesca for me was one of the highlights of the season. I loved her character. I love the actress who plays her. And just, man, the ending was super chilling, just raising her arms up and then complete silence. And then all the mothers screaming. I'm like,
oh, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, speaking of dark, too, the Fringilla scene.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was shocking.
Get you some. Yeah.
Yeah, we liked it. Yeah, it was good. But oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God.
Jesus.
Yeah, that went from A to dark real quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it could also just be that I have a thing for redheaded elves. There's that too. Giving me Tauriel vibes from The Hobbit, except much, much darker. But yeah. And I did also want to talk about Nivellen as well, because as I said, that first episode was pretty much my favorite of the whole season, because especially since I read some of those short stories, and when I was reading those, I realized that these stories are much more rooted in fairy tales than I think you necessarily get an impression of when you just watch the show. And so I love the fact that this one was, there were some changes, obviously, timeline wise, and who's involved and all that stuff. But it was very true to this is a, a messed up version of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we're not being shy about it. And so
I'm going to call
really
them Bormans forever. Y'all know that, right?
That's canon now.
Yeah.
It is.
I think like very few things have like sent a chill down my spine like the ending of that story did in this episode, because like the whole episode kind of really makes you feel for Nibelun and and you feel sympathy for him, but then the reveal at the end, it just makes you just like, oh shit. And yeah, so it's a great episode, and I loved I'm forgetting her name, but the Brutza, the Brutza, and her name was
Verena.
Verena.
Verena. Yeah, I thought like she was great. The actress did such a great job of doing that, and the movement.
Oh god, yes, like, the motion direction was great.
Yeah.
Yes,
oh god,
creepy.
Yeah.
So that was like, and again, I liked that episode so much, Verena, because it was much more like it was the standalone piece in a season that was otherwise fully interconnected with all the episodes, and so I really liked it because, like I said, it was rooted in in fairy tales, like I feel like those short stories much more are, and from what I understand, the rest of the books are kind of like that too. And plus Beauty and the Beast is just one of my favorite stories of all time anyway, so to see the Witcher version of that where it's that but much more messed up.
yeah. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how much more folklore and fairy tale that they can throw into the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
In the books at least, and in the games. Oh my god, in the games.
Oh yeah, the games.
Well, and you say not just fairy tale but folklore also, which is huge because like the Baba Yaga thing I thought was so awesome, that the way they sort of, they didn't call her Baba Yaga, but she's a wood witch, and she's got a house with chicken legs, and like
well they even say
what that is
in the behind the scenes stuff. They say that's exactly who she is. She's just not called that, but
we actually think, I mean, if you guys haven't played the video games, I don't know if you've seen the books, but like you might not know, but we think they're trying to do a mix of Baba Yaga with Gunther Dim.
Yeah.
I will say
that again, Val.
Gunther Dim. He's from the video games mostly.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
And well, I don't know if I want to talk about it because it might spoil things, but maybe
I will say, Aaron, I thought that he looked more frightening beardless than as the Beast.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. We should talk about okay, I don't know if this was mentioned. I might have missed it, so you guys let me know if I missed it. But I think it wasn't very well explained, the importance of an elven baby.
Yes.
Like in that specific one, because it's like,
I mean, I understood that there hadn't been an elven baby for decades.
Very long time.
Yeah.
I understoed that.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah.
But did they explain why?
Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't
explain why. Just that it wasn't happening, and I can make assumptions that it's because of the convergence of the spheres may have done something that has affected their ability to breed. I don't know.
We don't know if they're changing that because there is a reason.
Yeah, there is a reason
in the books. Yeah, so they might be changing it in the show, and it seems like they are, because there shouldn't be any new elven babies at all. So what happened was, like for the elves, they can only have babies when they're young, right? After a certain age, they're done with that. It's sort of like humans. So what happened was that there was this woman that gathered during the war. She gathered all of the young elves to go and fight with her, and all of the young elves died basically. So that's what killed. They're starting to go extinct after that battle because they can't.
Yeah, all the surviving elves, they were too old. They didn't look it, but they were too old to produce more babies.
Yeah.
So that was why. Like, Francesca should not even have been capable of having a child.
Yeah.
So it really made this really important.
But if they're going with that in the show, then it makes me think that it makes it more of a bigger deal for Francesca to be able to have a baby, because she's not supposed to be able to, and she did, which means it's a rarity for her. It's not like she's able to now, right?
Yeah.
It might be the only time she's able to. So that would have added more impact to her baby dying, because she might not be able to have another one, right? Yeah.
Okay, so it literally is just down to they're all too old.
Yeah, basically. But
Okay.
I mean, there's a cool backstory behind it.
I don't remember this in the first season so much, so correct me if I'm wrong, but they haven't really explained in depth why the humans hate so much the elves. I mean, they did mention the thing about the magic, and they felt threatened because of the magic, but how did we get to the point where the people who can perform magic were the ones that were marginated instead and isolated by the people who can perform magic, except for mages, of course. But how did this happen? I don't know.
Well, you might be able to explain.
Yeah, because
I don't want to spoil too much, because in case people actually do, any of the viewers actually do read the books. But if you read the books, it's really hard. I mean, I do feel for the elves, but it's really hard too. They are not who they see themselves being. They were a little heartless, a little cruel, and humanity being as young-lived and impulsive and generally hostile to anyone that we fear, led to a perfect storm.
Yeah, I think that like they showed in this season that the elves are just not good at fighting, right? Like when Kahir was proving that to everyone.
But why would you need fighting? Yeah, but why would you need fighting if you are a mighty magical being?
Yeah,
that's what doesn't make sense to me. I figured it's something that it is fully explained in the books, but the show hasn't done a great job of explaining why this is logical.
Yeah. Well, there's also an inconsistency too that I just realized. Dara is a young elf.
Right. Yeah. True. Yeah. There shouldn't be any young elves left. So the show is probably gonna be changing the baby thing. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. They might. Yeah.
True. Yeah. I liked his hair this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked both of his looks. Both the like I love the afro look, but the braids were. Like I heard somebody say, I can't remember where, might have been on Costume Co's live stream, but both Dara and Fringilla had really great hair this season. So they probably got a hairdresser on who knew how to work with, that type of hair that people of color usually have. Because I agree, they both looked fantastic.
And I wanted to say, like, Fringilla was just, like, amazing this season, just in terms of, like, because season 1, it was very easy to just see her as she's the heartless villain who, turned on the other mages, and this season it shows a much more multifaceted character, and to the point where, like, we're totally, like, rooting for her as she's brutally, murdering, these soldiers, mostly because, like, they were dicks. But also, like, we're like, we sense that she's going down a dangerous path, but at the same time, we're like, grab your power. Yeah.
Yeah, but her intentions are good always. I mean, maybe
what
the
she was
methods
trying,
are not. Yeah, maybe the methods are not so great, but
what she was trying to do, like, for the elves and for everything, like, I felt very much on her side throughout the season, and that is not something I would have said last season.
Yeah, and I actually, oh, sorry, excuse. I did feel a lot of sympathy for her because of all of her motives were actually founded in a good reason, and well, she ultimately gave in to Kahir's motivations, and she ended up paying the price for it, even though she didn't. That felt really unfair to me, because that wasn't her intention. Actually, that wasn't her intention, but she eventually just ended up listening to Kahir, and it backfired. But
It just goes to show, don't listen to men.
don't listen to men ever. But speaking
I'm sorry,
of
John,
Kahir,
what? I didn't hear you.
but speaking of Kahir, this season it made him look a little more interesting to me, and at least to me, because in the past season you just see him as a plain boring old bad guy, and in this season you get to know a little bit of his motivations as well, and even though they are not precisely founded in a good intention, I don't know. You feel for him in some way. Yeah, eventually he screws it up, and you just what the hell was I thinking? But
that's the thing. He's not someone like after the season that you're like on board with his his goals and his motivations, but he's like everything else with the Nilfgaard storyline this season. I feel like he was humanized. Like we get a sense of who he is, and and what his sort of mission is, and like why he's doing the things he's doing. So regardless of whether we don't come away from the season quote unquote liking him, but we get
I didn't like him at all. But it was sort of like, I hate this guy. Okay, maybe I know I don't hate him so much, but okay, no, never mind. I do hate him. It was a journey like that,
Yeah.
He's got such a punchable face too.
Yeah. But it's just the actor. I mean, I saw him on the newest episodes of Twin Peaks, and his character was super loathable, super hateable. It was terrible, and yes, to see him in the show as a bad guy as well was like, oh my god, these guys are targeting this guy.
His face isn't quite as punchable as the guy from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm just saying.
True. But that guy has the benefit of having Kurt Russell as a father. So.
Doesn't matter. Still gonna punch him.
But pretty punchable face, not gonna lie.
I enjoyed Kahir as a character more this season than I did last season, because I found that I enjoyed hating Kahir this season. I just did not enjoy anything about Kahir in season 1. So yeah, I do see the
right.
Yeah.
And like speaking of Kahir, like I really, something that I really enjoyed this season was when it was revealed like what the toppling of the monoliths was all about this season, and then the reveal that like, oh, that wasn't just a cool cinematic moment to separate Kahir from Ciri in season 1. That was like a big actual deal that has repercussions. Like that was so much fun just to shed new light on things that happened in season 1. Like there's that, and then there's what we learn about Ciri's father and the like. Yeah. And now when we go back to watch episode 4 of season 1, like that's gonna have a whole new
it's gonna hit
element, because that's like the single most important like moment. And
and but before we go on, I need to make sure that we do touch on this. We need to have a moment of silence for the most heartbreaking death of the whole season. Yeah. Y'all, everyone, pour one out for Roach.
Oh yeah.
Because Roach, you were a real one, and you will be missed.
Apparently, though, it is canon that Geralt does go through horses multiple times and calls them all roach.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's not the same roach as we see
Yeah.
in every
Yeah.
episode of season 1. So.
but this horse, like Henry Cavill actually like connected with this horse. He chose his horse, and it was big.
Yeah, you were a real one, Roach. You will be missed.
Yeah.
But he lasted for several episodes, so he was the longest running roach. So
Yeah, I'm sorry, Cassie. I'm sorry, but you know what? You should remember. You remember the people and horses that meant something to you.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to the game. If you like horses, you'll really like Roach in the Witcher 3 DLC Blood and Wine.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Okay, I look forward to play that, but I don't have time to play.
Really,
I'm a mother of 2 kids, and it's impossible.
Yes, watch a video of someone playing it. Yeah.
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 It's a really, really good quest. Really funny.
Yeah, it's incredibly funny.
Yeah.
Jaskier.
Oh yeah.
Loved him.
Jaskier. I haven't talked enough about Jaskier.
Yeah,
Right.
he is easily one of the best actors, I think, in the show.
Yeah.
I made new
I
friends.
agree.
Get over it.
Yeah.
His mouse friends in the cell with him. And like I heard that I can't think of the actor's name, but that he was like he basically improv'd all of that, talking to the mice and stuff.
Oh nice.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree, Kate. I hated his new hair. I was like, gosh, y'all need to get him a better wig. Then I realized that was his real hair.
Yeah. I didn't like that, but oh well.
Well, but it makes sense, doesn't it? Does make sense in a certain way. I mean,
He's depressed.
He's depressed.
Yeah.
Yes, and he's going through some sort of,
He was on the wrong end of a bad breakup.
Yes, exactly. So it makes sense that he looks shaggy.
True.
Which
Yeah.
the way he ends the Butcher Burn song, like I'm sorry, but like you cannot tell me that isn't true love, and and that better be acknowledged at some point. Canon wise in the story, because poor guy.
I love that character in a series that can be very dark and very serious and kind of almost depressing when you look at the things that Geralt and Ciri and Yennefer all have to go through, and the things that are happening to the elves, and to have that sort of complete opposite in the character of Jaskier, it is very refreshing. And I also really appreciate that he gets to be the Sandpiper this season. He's not just a pretty face singing pretty songs. He is doing some real work trying to make the world a better place actively.
But seemingly being like behind the scenes, being like his benefactor is Dijkstra, apparently. Like, so that guy's really playing, a whole different game. Like, that was kind of shocking at the end. But no, what you're saying, Stephen, you're absolutely right, because I feel like, the show can get heavy in some parts, but the moment that Yennefer like hears the voice and then it cuts to him and he turns around and it's like the point of no return, singing his song, it's like you immediately get this big huge grin on your face because you're just so happy to have his energy injected into the season.
Yeah, we're all Jennifer in that scene. But I have to say that even though, well, the main lighthearted moments we get them from Jaskier, we had a lot of funny moments from other characters, from the serious characters.
You're right, we did.
Yeah,
I think of
City especially.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think. I can't think of his name, but Yennefer's first love interest, the
Oh yeah,
archaeologist,
yeah.
when
Mhm.
he and Geralt,
Stop it, Steven.
when he and Geralt had that where he pops in and he's like, oof, oof, because he gets portaled by.
Yes. Oh my god, the
Yes.
portal. Yes.
He
Oh
hates
my God.
portals.
Yenna, Yen. You know
Yeah.
that whole.
And the thing is, when there's that Yen, Yenna, Yen. In that moment, they both know.
Yep.
They both know. Oh, you got that kind of relationship with her.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the special
Except,
friend, or what the special
Dear
friend kind of
friend.
part.
except
dear
it's
friend.
more,
Dear
it's
friend.
more like Istrid wishes he had that
Uh-huh.
relationship. It's
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
he
they did at one point. Yeah, you're right.
Mhm.
Oh my god. Yeah.
No, I will not stand for your pronunciations.
You know I'm going to do it every time, at least once. It's Geralt and Yennefer.
Like, it would be okay if we were talking
Yeah.
about like the book series and that was all, but they say it his name so many times in the show, Steven. Oh my god.
Well, you know what?
Look,
You know what?
I've got a brand.
During the Expanse podcast, just mispronounce Amos's name.
I mean, you could, but I don't like.
So are we thinking Amos or
Amos?
Amos?
Amos.
Almost.
Amos.
Amos is my favorite character, by the way.
Amos.
Amos is my favorite. That's another.
Mhm.
That's another man I'd spoon all night. But y'all, we're down to about the last 10, 15 minutes or so. So if there's something we haven't brought up, make sure that you now is the time. And chatters, if there is something that you would like us to discuss before we're done for the evening, now is your chance. Bring it up.
I do want to talk about the at the end with Ciri and with the imaginary the Sintra that she's seen in her head. It's just, I found that whole thing simultaneously like heartwarming and very heartbreaking. Just because even as resolved as she is to kind of move forward, and eventually she does, and she returns to Geralt and the others, but it's like now she has the benefit of like knowing how much she misses that part of her life and wants to like be better about certain things and value that the love that she had with her grandmother and with Mousak. Like, how great was it to see Mousak again? I love that character so
and
much.
Calanthe too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just seeing those actors again and the way that Ciri interacted with them, and it was so hilarious on second viewing when her grandfather had his back turned the entire time at the like up on the table. It's like, yeah, we couldn't get that actor back, so make sure he's turned around, engaged in conversation with somebody the whole time. But yeah, no, I love that, and it was just it was so sad seeing them fade away. But now I have to be able to look out for the fact that the father didn't fade away. I did miss that.
But it's also so important because, like I was saying earlier, this is a story to some extent about found family. And in that moment, she's having to choose between what was and what could be. And that found family with Geralt and Yennefer is something she had to actively turn towards at the end.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to mention that I really, really enjoyed how, just talking about the writing itself near the end, how everything just came together so nice and tidy, with all of the things that the Baba Yaga character had set up. to create pain like everywhere in all these different ways they were all happening at the same time. It was I thought that was really good, really well written.
Yeah. I just like being able to say Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
It is a fun
Mhm.
It's great. Great character from folklore, Russian folklore, I believe.
Yeah.
I saw Kolnitsky in here going like, "That's Russian."
Yeah.
I will say something that was a bit confusing to me on first viewing, but I picked up more about it on my second viewing, was the whole thing with the what's it called? The thing with the riders at the end. The
Wild Hunt.
Yeah, the Wild Hunt. Like, I was a bit confused by all that on my first viewing of it, but then I saw how they're talking about it like throughout the season and planting seeds about it. But it just that final sequence was a little bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah, in the show
me.
it has felt very disconnected, I think, from the whole story.
Yeah,
In
in the books, they're pretty much they're very rarely mentioned in the books. They're far more prevalent in the video games. So with them being like right out of left field, all of a sudden there's a Wild Hunt. Yeah, I can see where that's very jarring.
Yeah. In the video games, they were just the main enemy. So it's very easy to understand who they are after the video games. But in the show, they were not explained.
Isn't The Witcher 3 subtitle literally The Wild Hunt?
The Wild Hunt.
Yeah.
I am interested in seeing where this goes because the Wild Hunt are vastly different apparently from the games. In the show, in the Netflix show, they seem to be very much in line with actual demons. Like the whole world that they ended up in. My first thought was this is either Mars or hell.
Yeah.
So
I had that feeling. Yeah.
Martian Hell.
Yeah, Martian Hell. There we go. Yeah. The Witcher meets Doom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I personally have no idea what's going to happen with the Wild Hunt in the show.
Yeah, I'm very interested in seeing where they take that.
Erin's got a great question for you two gamers there. She would love to know what character Val and Dredd would like to see from the game.
I would like to see what's his name? The Witcher that was created only for the video games.
Oh, the Witcher George?
No, the one in the second game that you see in the third game if you didn't kill him in the second game.
Oh God. Oh, what was his name?
Yeah, the big guy. Anyone in chat know?
Letho, yes.
Him.
Yes.
Yeah,
seeing Letho from the games would be absolutely amazing. That you just gave me 3. I only had 2, but that's a very good number 3. Letho, Gunther O'Dim.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh my God, yes, absolutely. Gunther O'Dim. His name in an acronym is God.
Yeah.
And he is a demon that deals out punishment as he sees fit. If he's like the Hannibal Lecter of the Witcher world.
Okay.
If you're rude, he's or if you're just brash, or if you're any of the things that he hates, he's going to punish you in a very dramatic fashion. Yeah. And well, she's also in the books, but I'm kind of hoping to see Shani as well.
Oh, Shani, yes.
Shani's a very interesting character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just realized something else we didn't talk about was the fire mage. I don't remember what his name.
Oh,
his name is Firefucker.
Mm-hmm.
Firefucker. Rience.
And we don't really find out who he's reporting to in the end, which now I'm interested to find that out because they built that up as a mystery throughout the season, and then we still don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that other character, well, I excuse me, I don't remember the name, but it's he was on Outlander. He was one of the McTavish.
Oh yeah, that's
McTavish or Mac something.
Yeah, Graham McTavish, who
Graham
played
McTavish.
Dijkstra.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. That character was interesting to me. I mean, I don't know much about the world of The Witcher. except from what we have seen so far in the show. So I am intrigued for that character. I don't know what can Val. Well, you guys tell us without spoiling much. I don't know what's.
But wait, which character? Gunther?
Dijkstra.
Oh, Dijkstra. Well, yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
I think you've seen. They did portray him really well in the show. Yeah, they did a really good job with his character. That is him. They're just master spies, basically.
He basically does seem, Cecilia, he does seem like he's Dougal from Outlander. If Dougal
yes,
magic.
Yes, from Outlander.
He's pretty much exactly that character. He seems like as much of an asshole.
Uh-huh.
Dougal was the spider from Game of Thrones. He's a spy master, so yeah.
Right. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I love that one. And all of his scenes, he was good.
Well,
yeah. The Yasker working for him is also in the books.
Yeah.
Just mentioning that. Yeah, but I don't know where his story goes, because I mean, like, I remember, I played with The Witcher 3 and I didn't really pay super close attention to the story, so I know Dijkstra, but I don't remember what he was doing. So I don't know, and I haven't read all of the books yet, so I don't know exactly where his story is going to go in the show, so I'm just looking forward to
If they follow the books, Dijkstra is you're going to like what happens to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aaron's got a good question here, and I've got one thing I want to bring up before we get to the end. But Aaron asks, what do people think was Tasea's motivation for adding people who help her to Serious Bounty?
That's a good question. I didn't really quite get why she went there. I don't know.
Other than just, to close off all doors of assistance to Ciri.
But yeah.
I feel like that's a mistake for anybody who's going after them.
Yes.
Well, that's actually a bit of interesting contrast, is that Tasea was one of the people that called out Stregobor last season for killing off young girls because of the circumstances of their birth. And now she is the one that's proposing doing just that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell in her face that she wasn't really happy with having to say those things. I think that's kind of what I got from her expression.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, there's one thing I would like to bring up before we kind of move to the end. John, I'll let you have your say first because you know you're angry about it. But there was a post-credit scene where they showed us a brief glimpse at something coming in the future. This is completely fabricated just for TV. This is not based on novels or anything else. Is that correct?
Yeah, as far as I know, yes.
Okay. Interested?
I'm interested.
I'm not sure.
I'm interested in the premise. It seems something that might be worth looking into, seeing what they can do with it. But that post-credit scene didn't do it for me. Now, once again, the musical score felt completely off and kind of forced in the song that they went with.
It just wasn't the place for it.
Yeah,
in my
it's
opinion.
fine, John. You can just
it's not fine. Either at least put it after all of the credits, or it just needs to go online as its own thing. I felt like it interrupted the emotional resolution of the finale, and I did not.
You hate all post-credit scenes.
I didn't feel that way. But I didn't get excited about it either.
The only thing about it that excited me is Michelle Yeoh.
There's a difference between a post. I will say there's a difference between a post-credit scene that is sort of still tied into the characters of what you've been watching as like something extra that leads into the next phase of the story, and a trailer that is for something that is completely different. Even though it's still within the Witcher world, it's a completely different story, and it's an advertisement for for something different. it completely just interrupts like what you were just going through. It's this, I mentioned this before, it's the reason why Peter Jackson opted to not put in like previews at the end of each of the Lord of the Rings films for the next film, because he felt that those films should have an emotional resolution, onto themselves, and give the audience a certain feeling walking out of the cinema, and not just wrap up 3 hours of emotional story with and next week on Lord of the Rings. And this was even worse than that for me, because it wasn't even a preview for what's coming up next on The Witcher. It was for a completely different story that's a prequel for the elves. And so, I felt that it was very, it didn't fit in.
Are you guys ready to be totally astounded? I could not disagree with you more, John. I thought if they were going to put it in, they put it in exactly the right spot. What better place? We've just completed our story. Here is another story that is related to it. We have a captive audience. If you don't want to watch it, turn it off.
But it was halfway through the credit scene where you're still feeling the emotion of what you just went through. That's why I'm saying if they wanted to include it like after the show, then wait until the credits are over and then show.
Yeah, I think an online reveal would have made more sense. Yeah.
Right.
Anna agrees with me. 1-0, Steven. I mean, John, we're always going to disagree about this particular thing, and that's fine. Like, it would be funny, Kathy. Like,
yeah.
Oh man, it would be stuck in production hell for a decade. Whatever. Oh, John, I love you, buddy, but I do disagree with you. I think it was fine. I think, I'm not super hyped about it. But anything with Michelle Yeoh in it, I'm at least going to give it a shot.
Well, yeah, me too. But that's why I'm saying I would have been much more excited about it if I was able to see it as its own thing, rather than interrupting what I was feeling at the end of season 2 of The Witcher. But yeah.
For me, it was meh in every sense of the way.
Okay.
For me, it was meh in every sense of the way. Maybe I watch it, but then again, there is a lot to watch.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot.
See, Aaron, I expect this from Steven, but you have broken my heart.
You and Aaron never agree either. Come on. Unless it's Lord of the Rings. Anyway, I think I've said about all I can say about it. I'm sure there's a million other things we could say, but I think I've hit the highlights. Does anybody else have anything that we want to make sure that we touch before we call it a night?
Don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing big. Yeah.
No, just that I enjoyed the season, and this was a utterly fantastic conversation. Thank you guys for coming on for this.
No, thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
it was Val. It's like I say, it's been too long. Me and Val, we go way back, and it's been a long time. I think you might have been. No, wasn't like the second person, but you were one of my early guests on for an I Know That Nerd many moons ago.
Yes.
And it's always great to have you on. We need to find something to have you back more than once every 2 years.
Sure, yeah. Yes. But I'm very happy I've been there at the beginning.
Well, it's not going to be The Expanse.
It's not going to be The Expanse.
We know that, yeah.
It would be a very interesting discussion. She would be the devil's advocate for the people that hate the show.
Right, yeah. And I mean, I wouldn't talk about it like hatefully, I can explain reasonably why I don't like it, but
I have people on to talk about the things they love. Now, you're allowed to be critical about those things, but you didn't come on here because you hate The Witcher.
Well, yeah.
He just doesn't want you to talk. He just doesn't want you to come on and say bad things about Amos.
Look, if you want to come on and be wrong about The Expanse, I suppose we can make that happen. but
Right.
I don't want to broadcast your ignorance to everyone. So.
Oh.
All right, y'all.
Oh.
This was a
Okay.
lovely
This
time.
is a contentious
Cecilia,
episode.
Cecilia, it's always a pleasure. Val, it's been too long.
Oh.
Josh, a real genuine pleasure to meet you.
It was very good to meet
Great
you.
conversation was had. John, you were adequate as always.
Maybe a little less than adequate this week.
Nah, it was good. It was good times. It was good times. Cecilia, you have got a conversation coming up about what this was. You got something this Friday. What's coming up?
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai.
Mm-hmm.
I need to watch the second half of the season. I've seen the first half. And then you're going to have Val over there soon for some more Witcher conversation in Espanol.
In Espanol, yes. Like I said at first, I feel a little weird to speak in English with Val because we've participated together in several locations, but always in Spanish because well, it's natural for both of us. Well, it's a little bit. Well, for Val, it's a little difficult because she's more used to speak English now than she was.
Spanish sounds a bit weird.
It doesn't. It totally doesn't. But she does feel a little more awkward.
Yeah.
But she's always that to keep practicing her native language
with
me, and it's always great. If there actually are some conversations. When we used to talk about Game of Thrones, back when we used to talk about Game of Thrones, and those are actually subtitled. So if you want to look for those, you'll have more. You'll have a lot of fun hearing us talk about our theories about the Night King that didn't came.
Oh yeah.
That ought to be fun.
That we're absolutely wrong. So yeah, you'll find those on my channel or on Val's channel.
And links to Cecilia's channel, Geeksterelia, down in the description. Also follow her on Twitter. That link's down there too. And Val, you're streaming on Twitch 3 times a week, right?
Yeah.
I got that link down there. Got a link to the Because Geek YouTube channel where your most recent video from a few months ago is a season 1 of The Witcher recap review. I'm looking at the map, which was really good. Y'all go check that out. And I've got her Twitter link on there. Josh, I didn't have anything for you, but you know,
really.
Are you on Twitter, my man?
I'm a social media ghost, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
fair enough.
You can find him as a mod on my Twitch channel.
I saw him earlier today. Didn't know who that was, but now I do. And John, you're off until February, and then you're coming back with Stardust, right?
Yep. And this is such a me thing, but if you were genuinely offended by anything I said today, Stephen, I apologize.
You know I'm not offended. I don't get offended.
Because sometimes we're having so much fun bantering, and then I think I get carried away a little bit. But hopefully we're cool, man.
No, we're fine. You know, if I get my feelings hurt, like first of all, it's really hard to do. Second of all, I will tell you in the moment.
Okay, cool.
I just saw Dan's comment.
Yeah, that's solid, Dan. Good stuff.
Thank you, Dan.
But and then next week on Here Be Dragon, join us for just a mass of people sitting on a couch and sharing time together. It will be a special I Know That Nerd called I Know These Nerds with everybody from here, live from HereBeCon. So, yeah, no kidding. Yeah, for at least a full week, I'm going to know where you sleep. All right, y'all. Thanks again to the panel. Thanks to the chatters. You guys are fantastic. We'll see y'all next week. And until then, you know what it is. Peace and be excellent.